All right, let's dive into a really pivotal moment in the history of databases. We're talking about MongoDB 5.0, which dropped back in July of 2021. And look, this wasn't just another incremental update. Oh no, this release, this was a true coming-of-age moment for Mongo. It totally changed the game for how the platform handled one of the most critical dimensions of data there is.
You know, if you had to boil this entire release down to just one single idea, this would be it. In 2021, MongoDB finally learned how to tell time. And I mean really tell time. It embraced that fourth dimension as a first-class citizen, and that single decision, well, it changed everything for a huge class of modern apps.
So how did it actually do it? How did it learn to tell time? Well, the answer is its formal, official introduction to time series data. This was the big headline feature, the one that got all the press, and for a very, very good reason. Now, just so we're all on the same page, what exactly is time series data? Well, at its core, it's pretty much any data that just flows with time. Think about that constant stream of data coming from an IoT weather sensor, or the super fast, rapid-fire ticks of a stock market feed, or even just the performance metrics your servers are spitting out every single second. It's this relentless, ordered sequence of information.
And to handle this constant, relentless flow of data, MongoDB 5.0 gave us a brand new tool, the native time series collection. And this wasn't some kind of workaround or a feature they just bolted on. No, this was a purpose-built solution designed from the ground up specifically for storing and querying timestamped data.
But that kind of begs the question, right? Why was this such a huge deal? I mean, developers have been stuffing time-based data into MongoDB for years. What made this official new collection type so revolutionary?
And this slide, this just lays it out perfectly. Before version 5.0, if you wanted to work with time series data, it was a total DIY project. I mean, you were on your own, building custom data models, figuring out indexing, coming up with ways to archive old data. It kind of worked, but man, it was a headache. Then 5.0 comes along, and boom, MongoDB just handles all that nasty complexity for you. You get this dedicated, super optimized solution right out of the box.
So the key takeaway here is what you actually got with this new approach. Behind the scenes, MongoDB started automatically bucketing your data into these optimized chunks, which, by the way, massively cut down on storage size. It indexed your metadata super efficiently. And maybe best of all, these new collections plugged right into the existing, powerful aggregation pipeline. That made doing complex analysis just seamless.
Now, as important as time series was, and it was a huge deal, there was another feature in 5.0 that was, you could argue, even more strategic for the future of the platform. It was a lot quieter, didn't make as much noise, but for enterprise users, it was a genuine revolution.
The source material we looked at calls it a quiet revolution, specifically for long-lived applications. And that is the perfect way to put it. This was all about stability. It was about predictability for those big, important applications that need to just run completely unchanged for years and years, even while the database underneath them keeps getting upgraded.
That feature was the versioned API, and it's a really simple but incredibly powerful idea. You can basically tell your application, hey, you're going to speak version 1 of the MongoDB API. Then, even if you upgrade your database server to a new version that speaks, say, version 2 or version 3, that server makes a promise that it will still understand and correctly run all your old version 1 commands.
Let's just walk through this because it is so important. So your app is coded to use API v1. Some time goes by, and your ops team upgrades the database server itself. Now, in the past, that could be a terrifying moment, right? You're wondering, did some subtle change in a command just break my app? With the versioned API, forget about it. The server knows your app expects v1 behavior, and it maintains it. And the result? Your application just keeps on running. No code changes, no breakage. It's beautiful.
Okay, so time series and the versioned API were definitely the stars of the show. But MongoDB 5.0 was a packed release. It added a ton more power and stability all across the board. So let's just touch on a few of the other key features that came along for the ride.
First up, window functions. For anyone doing analytics inside the database, this was a massive leap forward. It gave developers the power to do really complex calculations, things like moving averages, cumulative sums, ranking, all inside a single query. That was a huge win for anyone working on data analysis or business intelligence.
And for the people operating those huge, large-scale clusters, live resharding was an absolute game changer.
You see, picking the perfect shard key, that's the thing that determines how your data is distributed across servers, is incredibly hard to get right on day one. This feature gave you the power to actually change that key on a live running collection with zero database downtime, a massive boost for operational flexibility.
And the list just kept going. The whole release was rounded out with a bunch of other great improvements. There were general enhancements to the aggregation framework, a much more powerful command line tool for their Atlas Cloud service, and way deeper integration with Kubernetes, which really solidified its place in that modern DevOps toolchain.
So, when you step back and you look at all these features together, the time series, the versioned API, window functions, live resharding, a single, really powerful theme starts to emerge. This release wasn't just about shipping cool new features. It was about making a promise to its users. And that promise was, in a single word, trust. Trust for the developer that they would have the right tools to build the next generation of applications. And trust for the enterprise that the platform they were building their business on was stable, it was predictable, and it wasn't going to pull the rug out from under them.
At the end of the day, MongoDB 5.0 was really a statement. It was them showing the world that a database could innovate at a rapid pace, adding powerful new things like native time series, while at the exact same time providing rock-solid stability guarantees with things like the versioned API. It proved that a platform could evolve without leaving its users behind. So, with 5.0, Mongo laid down this incredible new foundation, built on trust and maturity. It really was a turning point, which of course leads to the big question. What do you build on top of a foundation like that? Well, that's where things get really interesting. So you're going to want to stick around for our next one as we explore MongoDB 6.0. And trust me, when encryption itself becomes queryable, things get wild.